Our present extant constitution is an imposition of the military. A supreme military council that was not elected by anybody, that did not respect any known parameter in its recruitment except seniority in the army, that was lopsided in terms of its geographical identity of membership, imposed a constitution, enacted it like a legislation. It was not subjected to a plebiscite. It was not subjected to a referendum. In law, you say it's not autochthonous because the people did not agree that the 1999 constitution is their constitution. We didn't vote for its approval. So it's not cognizable in law as a valid constitution. It has been imposed of us by sheer force. And no government has had the courage to subject it to a national plebiscite. And if you do, most Nigerians will say this is not our constitution. We've created local government and states administrative structures that do not obey any known parameter. We've taken away the sovereignty of natural resources from our people and concentrated in an omnibus and amorphous federal government that is characterized by inefficiency over time.
Restructuring will end clamor for rotational presidency, says Chief John Onyanwodo, President General Ohanaeze Ndigbo. Welcome to Njenje Media TV. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Remember to subscribe to the channel by clicking on the bell icon for notification. I am John Paul Annie. An exclusive interview with Chief John Onyanwodo, President General for Ohanaeze Ndigbo.
To tell this nation today that this is the problem. This constitution can never give us progress. This constitution can never give us peace. This constitution can never give us unity. And unfortunately, most of us in this National Assembly, we don't have the spine to face what we need to give this republic to have peace and progress. What do I mean? This constitution has 68 items. 68 on the exclusive list. This constitution has only 12 on the concurrent list. And those 12 are written so nebulously, so fraudulently, that you know that the intention is to even undermine those concurrent lists. The formal name of this republic is Federal Republic of Nigeria. Unfortunately, we don't run a federalist system in Nigeria. Otherwise, what is so unique about all those things that are in the exclusive list? In this chamber, we try to federalize the police system. In this chamber, we failed. Every crime is local. And the solution to every crime is local. The earlier that senators in Nigeria summon the courage to say, we should not continue to deceive ourselves.
The constitution that operates in Nigeria today is a fraudulent, mischievous document foisted on Nigeria by a departing military junta. In fact, it is Decree 24 of 1999, which should have been a mere transitional instrument for governing a country of the stature and standing of Nigeria within the international community. I would have thought that the first item on the agenda of the government that came to power in 1999 was to address the issue of that constitution, its legitimacy. Because, like the Patriots observed, it told a lie against itself by saying that we Nigerians, under God, have agreed to live together, blah, blah, blah. There was no time when we were asked that question. And Nigeria, I believe, still requires what lawyers call an autochthonous constitution. A constitution that that captures the needs and interests of the Nigerians. A constitution that finds legitimacy in the eyes of the citizens, not one handed down from low and high.
Wole Soyinka, as a man of knowledge, has just expressed the fact. Unlike, individuals that parade themselves as professors of constitutional law and constitutional lawyers, senior advocates, and the rest, who still continue to defend the 1999 Constitution as if it doesn't matter the source, it doesn't matter that it's a forged document, by claiming that the people made it and it has been shown that the people didn't make it, in a suit that was filed on behalf of Anthony Naro, Wole Soyinka, Bishop Bonigi, Dokubo Asari, Ralph Wazurike, and a couple of others, Alhaji Yerima Shetima, who just gave that ultimatum.
Yeah,
He was part of the signatory to the lawsuit that was filed on their behalf by the Secretary General of the Lower Niger Congress.
You see, if Nigerians are complacent and they will not stand up to immoral conduct, then we justify that particular conduct. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And quite sincerely, the judges too, they have part of the blame, but they don't have all the blame. The problem, I think, like the patriots pointed out a long time ago, is that Constitution, Decree 24 of 1999, is a diktat. It's a military diktat. Yes. It tells a lie against itself, what you are brandishing as the Constitution of Nigeria. It's an illegitimate instrument. Yes. There's nowhere where we all agreed that would be the Constitution.
Even though it begins with "we the people."
No, that's the lie that I'm talking about. And I'm not original here.
It's a fraud.
The patriots have said it. Okay? And Ben Nwabose continues to say it. I attend meetings on the black table where Ben Nwabose presides. And he will tell you that Constitution is a fraud. That we have to jettison it and do an autochthonous constitution for ourselves. So please let us recognize the limitations of the 1999 so-called constitution. We need a constitution which reflects the spirit of the age, which captures our imagination. And that's why I say acquiescence by the generality of the people is what has pretended to lend legitimacy to an otherwise illegitimate.
And do you know that even the constitution that we use today, which is the 1999 constitution, denies what is called in law autochthony. In other words, there is no referendum, there is no plebiscite. The people of Nigeria did not vote to say, this is the constitution we want. It was imposed on us by a military decree, and yet it remains the ground norm. I mean, what a misnomer. We are not in a dictatorship, but we are running a constitution that we didn't vote for. And our administrative units have been carved on the basis of that constitution, supplanting our regional.
Why have you maintained the call for restructuring against the agitation for Igbo presidency in 2023? It is undoubtedly Igbo's turn to produce the president in 2023 under the current constitution. Anybody who denies this fact is deliberately throwing the country into chaos. It is incontestable, and if there must be justice and fairness in the system, it must be the Igbo turn, and I implore all political parties to take cognizance of this fact. I have been misunderstood on the issue of restructuring. As I have continuously said, the only way to stop this sectional politics and deliberate leadership marginalization is to restructure the country. And I refer to the pre-independence period, when we had a constitution that was agreed by our forefathers, which I am praying we return to, as it achieved better result for our economy. The Premier of Northern Nigeria rejected to be Prime Minister of the Federation because the region was more powerful than the federal government. In a restructured Nigeria, the craze to become President or Prime Minister and to operate the zoning system will fizzle out, because the restructured independent components will have sovereignty of their natural resources, and the country's economic growth will be determined by the regions and not the federal government. The federal government's responsibility should be limited to defense, external relations, as well as customs and excise. The presidency is attractive to people because of the country's vast resources, which is being centrally held. The president has so much power, and anybody who wants to use it to further his nest will do so, as long as he has legislative authority or legislative majority. This has been the pattern since the 1999 Constitution took off. All I am saying is that once the Constitution is overthrown and there is an agreement among Nigerians to restructure, the clamor over where the president comes from will no longer be an issue. It does not vitiate the point that as long as the current constitution is used, the rotational tradition cannot be stopped. When we had regional governments, we were doing much better, and our institutions were working. You know, the army's incursion into governance destroyed the country's evolution of democratic norms. Then, we detested the lack of absolute transparency in the electoral system, which led to thuggery and sometimes rigging. But what is happening these days is much worse than what we had then. The thuggery and rigging have developed to a sophisticated scale, far in excess of what obtainable when we had regional governments. In fact, the reason a state of emergency was declared was because the coalition of NCNC and Action Group won the election, but it was declared in favor of Akintola's party. And to show Akintola that he did not win, the coalition decided to ensure that there was no governance in the country. They filed lawsuits and maimed Akintola's followers. They burnt people alive. It was clear that the majority of the people on the streets were those who won the election, and the federal government that supported Akintola decided to appoint Majekodumi as the administrator of Western Region. The unfortunate thing is that people of this generation have not been given opportunity to read history of what happened in the past, and so when we say these things, it looks like we are just talking, that it is not grounded in history. But the truth is that those of us that witnessed it feel so demoralized because life was much better then. Presently, the demand for oil is going down. The direction education is going globally will do away with old methods of producing oil. Those countries developing these technologies have left us behind. Even our teachers have no capacity to teach the children new modules because they have not been trained for it. You blame military incursion for the country's woes, but you served as minister in Abdulsalami Abubakar's administration. The Abdulsalami Abubakar regime was a transition government. We assumed office in August and handed over in May. We were basically in government for 8 years to 8 to 9 months. And the sole agenda was to return the country to civil rule. As the Minister of Information, it was my responsibility to mobilize all transition agents to ensure that the people were aware of the electoral rules and procedure for election, voters' rights and rules governing the process. So, since we were focused on having a new government, there was no need in introducing fresh policies we could not complete. Because of its short stay in power, every minister that served in Abdulsalami's administration must not be held responsible for the country's underdevelopment. What I did in the Ministry of Information has not been erased. As Minister of Information, I changed all the television studios of NTA and FRCN. I gave instant broadcasting capacity to NTA and FRCN using brand new motorized studios. I insisted that the manufacturers supplied us directly, which they did at a discount. The engineers from the two corporations watched the assemblage of the facilities, which is why they are still working. I also bought new vehicles and new cameras. You are one of the Igbo leaders marked for attack by the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, though you supported the group for some time. At what point did you disagree with them? I think IPOB is misguided. And what I feel is that sometimes when their revenue is low, they look for cheap publicity just to create the impression that there is disunity in Igbo land. Nobody has defended IPOB in Igbo land more than me. And I am wondering whether some of us deserve what we are getting from the organization. Only a few days ago, an ambassador sent me a film of the invasion of the Nigerian embassy in Conakry. And I'm yet to understand why it happened. The people that invaded the embassy are clearly Igbos, and some of them had the Biafran flags and were chanting Iwenewani, meaning we are angry. They made it obvious they were Igbos. They tore the Nigerian flags as they went with the Biafran flags. They broke air conditioners and windows. For crying out loud, why would you fall into the trap of the Nigerian government, declaring you as terrorists? Is that how people undertake lawful demonstrations? I found it funny. If there is a way today, if there is a war today, will the people doing these things be able to fight? I was a Biafran soldier at an impressionable age of 17. These boys cannot be more Biafran than I am. I worked under Colonel Onwatuigu of blessed memory. It is easy to sit in an armchair in their comfort zone with funds donated to them by Nigerians all over the place and make pontifical pronouncements. It is rather unfortunate. These people have masterminded all kinds of things. My house in the village was burnt. I get telephone threats every day. I used to absorb them in the past. But now, I am going to prosecute all those that have been fingered in some of these things, because this is not in our character. Tell me why Ekweremadu, in whose home the strategy for Nnamdi Kanu's release was conceived, should be dealt with the way they did. The former governor of Abia State, Theodore Oji, was the one it fell upon to get Nnamdi Kanu out on bail. But he was also on bail from a Trump-up charge by EFCC. And you cannot take somebody on bail when you are also on bail. So Ekweremadu suggested to Abaribe to bail him. And they later agreed. All of them supported Abaribe. The former Minister of Aviation, Chidoka, volunteered his land as part of surety. Neither Abaribe nor any of those that ensured Kanu's release had been contacted by IPOB since their leader jumped to bail. And we have been pleading with the federal government to forgo the charge. But what do we get in return? There is no doubt, Igbo man. There is no Igbo man, that has attacked the Buhari government more than I have. I am not trained to be insolent. I only attack Buhari's policies and not his person. They call Nigeria a zoo. They call people all kinds of names. But that is not the issue. Our point is that we are being marginalized in our country. We are being treated like second-class citizens. The system we are operating is repressive, and it looks like there is an agreement to hold the Igbo down after the Civil War, because all our savings were reduced to £20. We were only given 5 states, while others have a minimum of 6. We were given 95 local governments, while others have over 100. When we were given quit notice in the north, I took a census. I found out that there were over 11.6 million Igbos in northern Nigeria. In the last election, there were over 3.6 million registered with us in Lagos State alone. We also found out that there were 1 million Igbos living in Ghana. There is more Igbos living outside Igbo land, and clearly, our population is sizable. Now, Fulanis are invading Nigeria, crossing our borders and registering as Nigerians in a national identity card scheme and overthrowing our immigration and international laws. This is buncombe, and I say it every day. Do they want me to take up arms and fight the federal government? No generation survives a war twice. What is your take on insinuations that Enugu International Airport was deliberately closed to keep Southeast's economy down? The current government has shown that it has bias against the Southeast and is concentrating every development in the North. We have things in the Southeast that could be used to boost our economy. If the federal government is interested, government knew that the airport was going down, that the runway was not good, but refused to maintain it until it became hazardous. You now closed it for safety reasons and said you would repair it before the end of December, and suddenly you realized you had no money to do it. But you know the movement of goods and services in the region. Where the airport is situated is one of the things that can catalyze the region's economy increasingly in less than 6 months. We built an international airport at Kaduna, used by no airline. How independent, sir, is the judiciary and INEC under this government? This is the only country where politicians who belong to different political parties appoint electoral body exclusively. The president was elected on a party platform. The National Assembly members are elected on a party platform, and in this instance, both the president and majority of the National Assembly members come from one party. So the members of the Electoral Commission are chosen by one party and given to the National Assembly, which rubber stamps it. This is the only country in the world where after an election, you spend over 180 days in court disputing who won the election. Quite unfortunate. Tell me any other country in the world where election petitions have lasted for 6 months after an election, where people have spent 6 months in the office, and were removed by the court because they were not properly elected. The same applies to the judiciary. The governors appoint judges in the state, while the president appoints the judges at the federal courts, the Court of Appeal and Supreme Court. This is not right. In the previous regional government arrangement, the Bar Association nominated these people, and our revenue system does not allow consolidated funds for the judiciary. So, if a member of the judiciary wants to buy a car, he or she goes to the governor. They want an office, they go to a governor. If they want police, they go to the Inspector General of Police. In other places, the court has its own place, so that when there is to be enforcement of judgment, the court police go to undertake it. They take orders from the chief judge. The judiciary has minimal contact with the executive and legislature. But that is not the case here, and nobody wants to address it. Thanks for being there. Njenje Media TV.
Nigeria is threatening everybody and groups. When we lie to ourselves and we're reaping the fruits of lying, we're victims of the lie that we call our own, the social contract, which is another name for the Constitution. We say we in Nigeria gave this Constitution to ourselves. We didn't. It was imposed. And it's not working. It's centralized. And the good things of life are not available for Nigerians. And they are crying. And you begin to blame them. You don't blame victims. You blame the system that produced the victims. This Constitution is not made by Nigerians. It's imposed. A federal constitution should be truly a federal constitution. You don't centralize everything. Nobody can fix this system. It's like putting square peg in round hole. It wouldn't work. It's not Buhari's fault, or Jonathan, or the previous ones. They were handed, and still being handed, instruments, i.e. the Constitution, that cannot work the way it is. Let us do an agreement. Constitution is an agreement that we agree to live together by these rules which we will spell out about governance. This current one is a fraudulent one. And it's giving us victimhood because we never did it. And they say we did it. If somebody say you did something that you not do, is that not a lie? We went to court. The case is in court, praying the court to say, look, the Nigerian people never did it. The court kept adjoining, part of the problem we have. The